Sup, nerds? There's been a murder in Savannah.
You got this kind of like Florida panhandle thing going, whereas what you really want is more of a Savannah accent, which is more like molasses just sort of spilling out of your mouth.
Oh, now do the Swedish chef.
I'm not familiar. What province is he from?
He lives on Sesame Street, dumbass.
So Intent to Kill is it says 2 to 4, but really it's like a 2-player game. I have played this at 3 players. There's a detective and a murderer, and the detectives are trying to figure out who the murderer is. Murderer's trying not to get caught. But like, you can have 2 people be on the detective team, but it's not like, okay, other detective, on your turn, you should do this, and then on my turn, it's just like, okay, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, you're basically like sharing the one role of the game.
Mm-hmm. But it's ultimately, there's 20 character cards that are randomly out there, and they all have different attributes. They can be, different occupations, different sex, different age, different height, that kind of thing. And they're all like unique. So like this exact combination of all of these attributes, there's only one of that, right? Mm-hmm. But you're going to pick one, the murderer is going to pick one at random, like this is the murderer. And they also have a motive. They'll have like one motive, but there'll be like 8 for that game that are the options, right? So they're going to go around and kill people according to their motive. But they don't want to tip off because the investigator needs to figure out who the person is, which they can gain that information by asking questions from other people on the table or other characters on the table. And they need to figure out what the motive is. So they need to get both of those things.
So the game progresses that every round the murderer is going to kill someone. And then the investigators are going to move around the board and question the people that are on it, trying to figure out information, and you get to ask them one question about the murder, about the attributes. So you could say, was the murderer tall? Was they medium build? Were they in their 40s?
So, how?
Say when, height-wise.
I'm gonna start up here. Just tell me when.
I'll start in the bottom. And
It's only yes or no questions about those specific attributes that are listed there, and you will get a yes or a no. Or if you're playing with Tom, he'll throw in some flavor that
I'll be like,
sometimes I'm like, are you trying to confuse me? Like, can you just, is it yes or no? I don't know what that means.
I ain't seen around here these parts, nuh-uh. And he'll be like, what do you mean?
Were they tall? Is that a yes or a no? Like, to give me the information.
But yeah, the questions are going to be about trying to figure out who the murderer is, and the motive is mostly picked up by like there's other ways you can kind of figure it out.
It's basically restricted to where they are on the board.
Yeah, you're based on the information, but like it could be like, one of the like of your available motives, right? That the investigators are looking at. It's like, okay, they could either be has to be killed in a building, has to be killed alone, has to be killed on the edge of the board, right? And so far he's only killed in buildings that are on the edge of the board when the character was alone. So that doesn't help me narrow it down.
But so part of what the investigator is doing is you can like move people around the board. So you move yourself around the board too, and that's some of the motives have to do with where the detective is in the board. Mm-hmm. So you are trying to force the murderer to reveal information about their motive. To say one of the options is has to kill someone on the edge of the board, so I'm just going to try to get everybody off the edge of the board.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, that's their main way for them to figure out the motive, and then the figuring out who the killer is. It also is important to note that there are some individuals on the table that can lie to you. So when you question a person, when you question, hey, this green guy, that's yellow.
That's not green.
Hey, yellow guy, was the murderer a male? Like the investigator's asking me, the killer, and I have to answer honestly, unless that person is the killer, or the person of interest, which is only used in the advanced game, or there is a stack of attribute tiles, and I do get to draw one at the beginning of the game. Well, I draw 3, pick one, but there is a color of character out there, right? Like the yellow ones or the pink ones or whatever, that is also allowed to lie. So the investigators may need to ask like qualifying questions a couple of times. Like maybe ask the same question to different social groups or whatever.
Ask this blue character, were they male? Then ask the yellow character, were they male? And if you get the same answer from both of them, you're like, all right, statistically, I have a better chance of that being accurate, but there's a chance that yellow are the homies of the murderer and the blue is his person of interest.
Or just the murderer themselves.
So you could ask the same question to 3 different like colors of people. They all answer the same way, and they're all lying.
Yeah, that's super unlikely, but it could happen. Another big way for them to gain information, there's different abilities. Like, most of the actions you're going to do is going to be asking questions, but you can do some abilities with the buildings, and the police one is easily the strongest, which is under surveillance, where you put a token on them, and at a certain point in the game, you can ask and say, hey, murderer, can you murder this person? And, like, based on the motive, you have to answer truthfully. Now, the only way that you can fudge that is the murderer can never kill themselves. So if you happen to put the murderer under surveillance and say, hey, murderer, can you kill this person? You could be like, no. Yes, according to my motive, but since I can't kill myself, no. And that could throw them off. So, like, every bit of information the investigators get, there's always a little hint of, like, but can we trust it?
Yeah.
Just like a real cop.
No, I look like a cop.
Yeah.
And there's also, like, you could put someone under surveillance and they have to wait till your next... We're pretty sure you have to wait till your next turn. There's a little bit of confusion in the rule book, but we said we're just going to play it this way. So you put someone under surveillance and potentially they could give away, like, a key piece of information, and so the murderer kills them. And so then obviously you can't question them because they dead.
He's dead, dead, another dead one, deady, deadified, two more dead, dead from the neck up, dead from the neck down. But that's life.
And then you're like, oh, well, is that because the answer would give something away? Or is that because he thinks that I think that he thinks that it would give information?
Also, it's important to note, the version we have is the Hobby World version. If this game is getting picked up by, I believe, 25th Century Games and brought over to America, I don't know if they're going to change any of the components or if it's just, distribution or whatever. If components can be changed, there is one component complaint because by and large it's fine. I mean, it's a little bit drab, yeah, but whatever. It's functional. The only thing that is like an annoying functionality is this is the deck of all the motives, but there's 2 copies of each because the murderer is going to have their 8 and the investigators are going to have their 8. Or I'm saying 8. We're talking about the advanced game, and I'll explain that a little bit more. But I just wish that these were different, had different backs or something, because it's just annoying to separate these out, because I can't, as it stands right now, what I'm holding in my hand, I can't just draw 8 random because I could have duplicates. So I guess I could draw that and then have to swap out.
I keep telling Tom he just needs to get 2 different color of Gamegenic sleeves when he sleeves the game, and then you can tell them apart.
But talking about the advanced game versus the basic game, most of what we were saying is about the basic game. The advanced game does bump it up from 6 objectives or 6 motives to 8. But there's also these cards. So the killer just gets cards after every murder that they do, and they can be played to just mess with things. And the investigators, it's a little bit harder for them to get them. They get tokens that show buildings that they have to go to be able to gain a card. But that's definitely the way to go. You definitely want more wacky stuff. Some cards like cancel other cards that people playing. So they're just more manipulation of the board and gaining information. But those are fun. You should definitely play it that way.
And I will say, as the investigator, probably as both sides really, but the challenge comes in that the game is not very long. Because obviously, if you have enough time, you could just question enough people that all the information fits into place. So you have a limited number of time to ask questions before the murderer has killed so it kills 5 people, and if we haven't caught him after the 5th murder, then the murderer wins. The murderer is trying to hide his motive while he's killing these people. So at the end, you could make your accusation at any point in the game if you think you have it. It's probably not super smart to do that because you want to be sure. And then at the end of the 5th round, when the 5th murder has been done, you have to make an accusation, and the murderer's goal is to get you to have to guess, to say, all right, I have it narrowed down. I know exactly who the murderer is, or I'm confident I know who the murderer is, and it could be one of these 3 motives. So this one.
It's also a strategy thing that a buddy of mine said. He's like, it's really good to try and pick a person out there and try and pin them as the murderer. So like a lot of their attributes are really similar to the murderers. So that way when you're giving yes/no questions, when you're giving yes/no answers, right? They're like, oh, well, now I have it narrowed down to these. So
as the murderer,
you want to pick someone and be like, this guy I'm going to pick this guy's as close to this guy, to the murderer as possible. So I can't kill that person.
Frame him basically.
Yeah. Make sure you don't kill that person, and, make sure that, when it comes down to it, that they are unsure.
Oh, chills. Literal chills.
It was number 5. Number 5 killed my brother.
So overall, I do really enjoy this game. It's different type of thing from what I normally play, so it's cool. It's a bit of a breath of fresh air, very logic deduction. I think if that type of thing is up your alley, like especially if you like, you know, puzzly stuff like escape room type things, and deduction, like I think you're going to enjoy this. Again, it's very much a deduction game, not a social deduction game. It's important to point that out.
I really enjoyed it. I had a lot, like, even though when we played last, I lost. I was like, this is good. This is solid. I like this.
Yeah. It's definitely like, if any of what we were saying here sounds interesting, you're going to like it. Even if you're like intrigued a little bit, you're going to like it.
Yeah, definitely check it out. There's going to be a link down in the description where you can click on it, and then you can click add to cart, and then you can click check out, and then you can put in your credit card information.
Which, real quick, what is that credit card information while we're at it?
Also down there is going to be a link to Game Toppers where you can get a table just like this one. Maybe one a little bit bigger, maybe one a little bit smaller, maybe a different playmat, maybe it has legs. Either way, they've got you hooked up. I think you'll love a Game Topper. We definitely do.
And either way, you should definitely subscribe to our channel because you'll never be bored. Have you ever seen, it's like, I'll show you the meme. It's like, pick your wacky cat name, and it says, your wacky cat first name, the numbers of your credit card. Your wacky cat middle name, those wacky numbers on the back. Wacky cat last name, that silly expiration date.
I'm glad you explained the entire meme.
I'm not putting it in there.
I
I'm
am.
just telling you. Okay.